Greetings, hi, hello. I'm Fire Lotus the Witch, and I'm a channeling medium who is currently, I think, 4 years into my path of being a channeling medium. So here's some things that I've learned along the way and learned in the 22 years that I've been into witchcraft, going on 23. Yeah, going out and buying books on psychic mediums and stuff like that. When it comes to the exercises, 9 times out of 10, they're not going to work for you. You say, why? Because you were wired differently, especially if you have a neurospicy brain like I do, which means you need to try to find exercises that work for you. If you have neurospiciness or ADHD, sitting down trying to quiet your mind, that's nearly fucking impossible, okay? Just going to be blunt and raw. Nearly fucking impossible. What you can do, though, is find exercises to help you stem with the ADHD. So instead of trying to quiet down, you're going to use that as your superpower. Most importantly, you're going to wind up teaching yourself discernment. Not everything that pops into your head is an intuitive download. Not everything that pops into your head is from spirit. Because we also do have an active mind. You need to try to start building, not the difference, but building the filter that you are actively connecting with spirit versus your own thoughts, wants, and things like that. With me, there are a couple of physical things that happen to me. One of them, especially if I'm in the middle of a reading, it's called spiritual truth is what I call it, which is basically I'll get goosebumps either on my left or right arm as I'm saying something that is directly connected to spirit. You also need to figure out what your psychic abilities are. We all have them. You all have a translator inside of you to be able to figure out and translate from spirit. And I wish it was like in the movies and stuff like that. A lot of people are like, oh, well, Lotus, I can't read tarot or I can't read oracle. Those are just tools. It's not the cards. And it's taken me like 6 years to fully understand that. But at the same time, wouldn't it be weird if you got a reading from me and I just sat down in front of a computer and just started talking to you? Yeah, we use them for tools, okay? With me, I learned that oracle works better for me. Again, you may do tarot. I do oracle. It works better for me. I would actually encourage you to start out with oracle versus tarot. If you do that, or if you do tarot, try to find a training deck. The deck that I use, which unfortunately is no longer in print, is Flowers from the Dead. It was specifically designed to not come with a book because it has an image and 1 to 2 words, or 1 word and an image, and that's it. That triggered my natural instincts to fully be able to leap in and be able to connect. You also need to work on psychic shielding, okay? Charms, necklaces, and trinkets, they work to a degree, but when you are opening yourself up to the spirit world, you need multiple layers of shielding and protection to make sure, A, they don't attach themselves to you. No, I'm not talking about possession. That's extremely rare. It can happen. It's extremely rare. You also need to make sure you're not going to bring home a hitchhiker. Right. Also, let me know if you want a story time of what happened when I went to a wedding in St. Augustine's, Florida, not realizing the history of St. Augustine's, Florida. Let me know if you want a story time on that. You also need repetitiveness, and do not go into this thinking that you're going to get instant results. Now, I initially started this journey without fully realizing what I was doing by creating the spiritual 30-day challenge. It sounds stupid as fuck, but it's basically an exercise for you to start building a relationship with your spirit team, ancestors, spirit guides, and deities, or other beings that you may work with. To simplify that, for 30 days, you're going to spend 5 to 10 minutes alone by yourself, and you're going to talk to your ancestors, your deities, and your spirits like I'm talking to you right now. Obviously, you may not get instant results right off bat, but what you're doing is establishing a connection, and through that establishment and through those 30 days, I've started it, and I think it's like 5 years now that I've been doing it constantly. I do it in the morning time with my cup of coffee, and I do it right before I go to bed. And then there's a couple other practices that I've developed, technically my partner developed, that I also do as well. Let me know if you'd like a video on that. But basically, the point of this is A, to establish that connection. 2, most importantly, when you're doing this, you are specifically going to say, I'm trying to connect to my spirit team, okay? You're not trying to bring in other spirits that are nothing to do with your ancestry or anything like that. But through the course of this 30-day challenge, they're going to figure out how to communicate with you, how to send those specific messages for your brain to interpret or your translator to interpret, and you're also going to figure out the easiest ways to connect with them. They are going to use a wide range of things, dreams, sound, scent. It depends on the clairs that you have. Now, I do believe that you can be naturally gifted with these clairs, as basically it just means that they're naturally they come to you, but you still have to do the work. Just like you could become a natural witch or be a natural witch, you still have to do the work to hone in the gifts. And there are a couple other exercises. One of them, again, you need to research graveyard etiquettes or cemetery etiquettes before you go out and do this. And I would have a person with you, but try to push your senses out and see what grave calls to you, right? You're going to have another person there and start I want to say stem, but stem's not the right word. Let it flow, right? Have that person write down all the things that come to your mind. Now, again, this is also when you're also starting to realize that you need to practice that discernment too, because not everything that comes to us is in fact from spirit. Then, after that, and after you've safely left the property, always remember when you go to a cemetery or graveyard, you look back and say, hey, thank you so much. None of you are allowed to come home with me, okay? Then you're going to go home and try to research specifically on the grave that you were connected to. And lastly, just because it's going to make this a hell of a lot easier, I would also start to research bioregalism. Basically, it's the observance of the animals and basically the city or town that you're in for an entire year. The reason this is because spirit can come to you and show you signs using animals and stuff like that. For an example, I have crows. I feed crows. I have a relationship with my crows. They're specifically in the front yard near the end of our property. They do not typically come up here. If you see the video that I posted earlier today, you would know that they broke that characteristic and came up here. If you have a tree where bluebirds nest and you ask for a sign and you see a bluebird, that may not be a sign because they're naturally on your property. So looking for things that are out of the ordinary. Follow along if you would like to know more of these. Let me know if you want me to do a couple story times and or other examples of some of the ways that I've learned how to tap into my psychic abilities.